Hi, my name is Mary McManus, and I am so excited to be able to share with you how the diagnosis and the crisis of post-polio syndrome became an incredible blessing in my life and helped me to transform my life, mind, body, and spirit. Before I was diagnosed with post-polio syndrome in December of 2006, I was a supermom. I worked full-time at the VA. I had a very, very successful career. I was raising my twins. I was managing the household. I was being supportive to my husband in his career. And then in December of 2006, life as I had come to know it came to a screeching halt. I actually started experiencing some symptoms in 1996, and then in the summer of 2006, they just reached an intolerable peak, and I became very frightened by what was happening to my body. I was watching it deteriorate and had no name for it, although I had an inkling it might have been post-polio syndrome because I had polio at the age of 5 and knew that some polio survivors were experiencing a resurgence of symptoms. And I became panic-stricken. I would cry a lot in private, and I would pray to God that I wouldn't wake up the next morning. I just felt my life had become so intolerable and was so out of control and had no idea of how I was going to get my life back. And one day, in October of 2006, I heard God say to me, Google post-polio syndrome, which I did. And I discovered the Spaulding Rehab International Center for Polio and Post-Polio. And that is where I began to take the first steps of my healing journey. At the same time, they were telling me while I was going through intensive outpatient rehabilitation care that I needed to consider leaving my full-time career as a social worker. I could go on Social Security disability, and that the stress of the job was countering all the rehab that I was doing. And I began immersing myself in meditation and visualization and journaling, and I went to Bernie Siegel's website and I read Conversations with God, and in February of 2007, I began to feel this urge to create and really felt that I was connecting to God. And I wrote the poem Running the Race while sitting at my dining room table contemplating my future, not sure of what the future held for me. I had no idea what I was predicting with writing the poem Running the Race, but nonetheless, I rekindled the spark of writing poetry, which I had done as a hobby throughout the years and hadn't given it much thought, except that I knew when I wrote poetry I brought a lot of joy to myself and others. And I opened myself up to writing poetry, and while my body was basically shut down at that time, my spirit began to open up and fly free. And I discovered that I had a book of inspirational poetry inside of me. And with my husband's love and support, I created my own customized greeting card company. And I started making plans for leaving the VA. I was blessed to find all these events and connections that were happening that really told me I was on the right path. And while I was healing my body, I was also healing my mind and my spirit. And in May of 2007, I took a leap of faith. I left the VA. I was blessed to find a publisher. I was getting the word out about my customized poetry, New World greeting cards, and I was beginning to feel a lot better, but I was still very weak and very deconditioned. And so in October of 2007, I asked my friend and a woman who is a personal trainer, in-home personal trainer, do you think there's anything more we could do? And she said what Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And by February of 2007, I by February of 2008, I discovered that I was, through the intensive physical work with Janine and the intensive journaling, meditating, visualizing, having listened to Tony Robbins CDs and Bernie's meditation CDs and reading Wayne Dyer's books and reading Conversations with God and everything I could get my hands on, and following my bliss, that I was rebuilding muscle and nerve, and I was starting to feel stronger. And we had reached my initial health and fitness goals. And so in February of 2008, I claimed that I was going to run the Boston Marathon for Spaulding Rehab. And my husband and daughter decided that they were going to join me on this journey. And my son said, I'm not going to run, but I will support you and do household chores and anything you need while you do your training runs. And so we applied, and we've been accepted to the Spaulding Rehab Race for Rehab team. And as of yesterday, which was December 20th, we are running 15 miles on our long training runs. And I believe that the greatest gift in all of this is not only how my life has been transformed, but how I am giving back to Spaulding Rehab Hospital. I donate 20% of the proceeds of the sale of my book to Spaulding's polio fund. And we are rigorously fundraising for Spaulding Rehab through our Team McManus, our fundraising site, and we're hosting benefit concerts, and I'm doing things that I never imagined I would be doing with fundraising and having a blast doing it. And I'm also touching the lives of those who are experiencing physical challenges, because they see that a diagnosis does not make an outcome. They see that I was able to defy the diagnosis with a lot of hard work, prayer, visualization, and all the things that I have done in order to achieve this outcome of being able to physically, mentally, and spiritually now run the Boston Marathon for Spaulding Rehab. I touch people's lives with my inspirational poetry. I've had so many people email me and just tell me how it touches their hearts and opens their hearts. I've been blessed to be on different radio talk shows, and people call in and are just so moved by my journey. And I think the greatest joy is when somebody says to me, you light up a room. Your energy is so vibrant, and communities are coming together at the benefit concerts and just really igniting a sense of joy and love and hope and inspiration. And it's been an amazing journey. And of course, it takes us to Hopkinton on April 20th of 2009. And I know that we will have a successful run, and we are going to exceed our fundraising goal, and that I will be able to continue to touch people's lives through my poetry and through my journey. And so I thank you so much for taking the time to share in my journey, and I look forward to connecting with you and continuing to be blessed and be a blessing to others. God bless, and take care, and be well. See you at the finish line.